All right, so moving on to the final segment, I'll be sharing my AEW Revolution pay-per-view summary. So, AEW Revolution in the world of wrestling, the pay-per-view is officially in the books, and I'll be giving my pay-per-view summary on the whole entire main card. So, starting off with the first match, we had Christian Cage successfully retain his TNT Championship against Daniel Garcia. So I thought this match between Christian Cage, the veteran wrestler, and the young guy Daniel Garcia, I thought this I thought this wrestling match was a good match to kick off the show. I really thought this was a perfect time to put the title on Daniel Garcia, a young superstar that AEW is going to establish as a future world champion, in my opinion. But it didn't look like Daniel Garcia was ready to get his first AEW title just yet, with Christian Cage winning the fight. And don't get me wrong, the match was really good, but it was a predictable finish because you had Christian Cage having kill switch Nick Wayne's mother all at ringside, with Daniel Garcia really not having much allies by his side at ringside. So we all knew a predictable finish was going to happen if Christian Cage was going to successfully retain the TNT title with some outside interference, which really happened. But I'm okay with the match, and I'm okay with the finish because it allows Christian Cage to continue his run as the TNT champion. But it also protects Daniel Garcia because he wasn't really defeated cleanly and could potentially set up for another opportunity down the line for him to get another TNT title opportunity in the near future. So I'm okay with the opening match. Then the second match of the night, man, Eddie Kingston successfully retaining his Continental Championship against Bryan Danielson. Eddie Kingston went on to retain all three of his titles and Continental Championship rules against Bryan Danielson. Outstanding match. I really thought that this match between Eddie Kingston and Bryan Danielson was the third best match on the card, which I'm going to get to those other two matches in a little bit. But I think the match between Eddie Kingston and Bryan Danielson is already in the conversation with being a match of the year candidate in all wrestling promotions this early in the calendar year 2024. The match between Eddie Kingston and Bryan Danielson was very physical. It was very hard hitting. It was everything you wanted if you're an AEW fan. And this match between Eddie Kingston and Bryan Danielson might go down as Eddie Kingston's best matches in his career, especially in AEW. And I'm glad AEW is continuing to push Eddie Kingston to the moon. The man deserves it. The man has been busting his ass for years on the indie scene, and now he's finally getting his moment in pro wrestling. So I'm happy that AEW is letting Eddie Kingston keep the Continental Championship. But if Bryan Danielson never becomes a champion in AEW, I'm truly okay with it. He's giving us great matches in his final full run as a full-time wrestler. So I'm okay with it. Does Bryan Danielson deserve a title? Yeah, absolutely yes. But I think he's okay with the run that he's going on. He's already an established guy, one of the best wrestlers of this generation. So I think Bryan Danielson is okay with the run that he's going on. So the next match, you had Wardlow, who won the All-Star 8-man scramble match to secure a future AEW World Title match. This match was okay at best. I know this is something that a lot of wrestling fans are not going to remember months from now from the AEW Revolution card when you're talking about memorable moments from the AEW Revolution card. I'm talking about months down the line. Nobody's really going to remember this 8-man scramble match. And originally, I know this match was really thrown in on the pay-per-view at the last second, but originally this was supposed to be, correct me if I'm wrong, this was supposed to be a meat match that was supposed to feature heavyweight wrestlers like Wardlow, Keith Lee, Miro, Lance Archer, Powerhouse Hobbs, Brian Cage, and others. But unfortunately, that didn't happen because Tony Khan did not understand the availability of Miro, which I'm confused about that. If Miro hasn't been medically cleared in September, how did he wrestle at AEW World's End when he faced Andrade El Idolo in December? I digress, but that's just, I don't know. Keith Lee has been sidelined for the last few months, so we know that. So, hey, with this 8-man scramble match, I'm okay with Wardlow winning the match. For storyline purposes, this was the right call for Wardlow to win the match because I touched on it on last week on the Combat Series. It is important for AEW to continue to push the Undisputed Kingdom, make them one of, if not the strongest faction in all Elite Wrestling. So I like Wardlow winning the match, and it could possibly set up for Wardlow having a future world title opportunity. It could set up for Adam Cole taking the opportunity away from Wardlow and turn into the Undisputed Kingdom turning on Wardlow. So keep in mind for that. But the next match, you had Roderick Strong, who defeated Orange Cassidy to become the new international champion. This is something that I also said last week on the Combat Series when I was putting together my AEW Revolution predictions. I said that AEW and Tony Khan and company need to let Roderick Strong win the international title, and they did it. But shout out to Orange Cassidy for being one of the greatest champions in all Elite Wrestling's history. No matter what the title, Orange Cassidy is in the conversation for being one of, if not the greatest champion in the Young Company's history, because Orange Cassidy went on to have a total of 2 title reigns and had a total of 43 title defenses and with his run with international championship. So he really made that international championship truly mean something today in AEW. But I thought that the match between Roderick Strong and Orange Cassidy was a good match, and that's supposed to be expected when you have 2 great wrestlers like those 2 guys getting in the ring with each other. And I think we will see more matches in the future between the 2 respective wrestlers. But the story that came after the match was the story that came after the match was Kyle O'Reilly coming back to AEW. Now, Kyle O'Reilly has been sidelined and missing in action from AEW for nearly 2 years now. So it was quite a surprise to see Kyle O'Reilly back. If it leads to a feud between Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong for the International Championship, sign me up. That is something that I would love to see. Or if you want to put Kyle O'Reilly in the Undisputed Kingdom with his buddies Adam Cole, Roderick Strong, and company, I'm okay with it. So I thought that was good for AEW to get him back. Next match, you had the Blackpool Combat Club that defeated FTR in a tag team match. So I thought Blackpool Combat Club and FTR had one hell of a match. I thought it was great that Jon Moxley and Claudio Castagnoli paid their respect to one of the greatest tag teams in wrestling history in the Road Warriors before the match. I thought that was a great touch-up in their entrance. But the match between Blackpool Combat Club and FTR was one of the best tag team matches I've truly seen in years in all of wrestling. It was a really physical match. It was a fast-paced match, violent, great tag team moves displayed in this match between the 2 respective teams. I can watch these guys wrestle all day long. Give me a Moxley and Claudio versus Dax and Harwood match. Give me that all day long because I could watch these guys wrestle on any given television time of AEW. But I do believe that we will see these 2 teams wrestle against each other again, because with Sting and Darby Allin vacating the AEW titles, I think we're going to see these 2 respective teams wrestle each other for the AEW tag team tournament that we'll be seeing very soon. So fingers crossed we get this match again, because these guys have a great in-ring chemistry with each other. Next match, we see Toni Storm successfully retain her women's world title against Deonna Purrazzo. This was a good match, but you could tell the fans at the Greensboro Coliseum in North Carolina were a bit drained because of how long the pay-per-view truly lasted. You had match after match after match after match going on over one by one. As soon as one match ended, boom, 60 seconds later, you're getting an entrance for a new match. So I understand that the crowd was a bit dead for this match. But shout out to Deonna Purrazzo, because ever since she arrived in the women's division, this division has truly kicked it up a notch, and has truly gained some momentum, I should say. But To me, Toni Storm retaining the title was the right call. Her women's world title reign should continue. And we're going to see which woman actually dethrones Toni Storm for that AEW Women's World title. But I'm truly enjoying the reign so far. I'm glad she won the match. Now, this is the match that I want to talk about. We had Will Ospreay defeat Tenosuke Takeshita. Man, that was the best match that on the AEW Revolution card between Will Ospreay and Konosuke Takeshita. And hands down, this is where you say, wrestling fans say, holy shit, because these two guys brought their A game. They brought it all and gave me personally the best match of 2024 thus far. They set the bar, they set the standard of what it takes to be an elite caliber wrestler in all elite wrestling. Hands down. I give this match a 4.5 out of 5 stars. I would have given it a 5-star if I just got a little bit more drama, but the match and everything presented itself. This match was truly better than expected. Tony Khan has two future AEW stars in the palm of his hands, of Will Ospreay and Tenosuke Takeshita. Both of these guys got to be treated like gold. And if we're going to get Will Ospreay matches like this in AEW, now he's fully signed with the company and with the promotion, sign me up, because Will Ospreay is money. Tenosuke Takeshita is money. Man, one hell of a match. Hands down the best match on the card. But next match, you had Samoa Joe successfully retain his AEW World title against Swerve Strickland and Hangman Adam Page. I thought the match was good, but the story of Hangman Adam Page going to self-destruct mode to make sure Swerve Strickland did not win the world title by any means necessary was kind of annoying for the match. You had, I mean, don't get me wrong. I just think I had my expectations a little higher for this match. One, because any world title match in AEW is supposed to have significance. And on paper it has significance. But I don't know. I just felt like it didn't meet up to my standards. The match was good, but I think they could have just gave us more. That's the perception I had of it, though, of Hangman Adam Page. By any means necessary, not letting Swerve Strickland win the world title. That was just my perspective on it. And I kind of made Samoa Joe feel like the middleman, but Samoa Joe's not supposed to feel like the middleman because he's the world champion. But I'm fine with Samoa Joe retaining the title. Swerve Strickland is going to get his moment. He will become the AEW World Champion at some point in 2024. We just got to be patient for it. But on to the main event. You had Sting and Darby Allin successfully retain the AEW World titles against the Young Bucks. Sting's final match, it was good. I would say the match was good. The presentation before the match started was pretty good, of them showing the trailer, as him sitting in the movie theater, saying it's showtime one final time. I like the fact that he came out with his sons. His sons were representing his character of Sting, the icon, the legendary Sting over the years, with the different face paint, the different characters. I liked it. But I thought there was no better match for Sting to go out on. I thought this tag team match was entertaining. It was action-packed from start to finish. It was entertaining all over the arena. Definitely a great match. And definitely something Sting will be proud of when you look back at his final pro wrestling match in his illustrious 39 years in the world of wrestling. But glad Sting finished his career undefeated in AEW. Could we have gotten a singles match? Yeah, we could have, but it's not the end of the world, because majority of the tag team matches that he had with Darby Allin were truly entertaining. So I think Sting had a good run in AEW. Really can't complain. They put the tag team titles on him before he retired, so he went out as a champion. But one thing can I say? Can we stop getting Darby Allin nearly killing himself in every spot that he's in a big-time match? It's becoming unnecessary. The man is literally going to die in wrestling if they don't tell him to chill out. I mean, that dive from off the top of the ladder that 20-foot drop with him just going back first, shattering his back, just shattering in the glass. The man was a bloody crimson mask. I mean, how many stitches is he gonna need? I wonder how many stitches he woke up and needed after that spot last night, because the man was literally bleeding out on camera. He had to get taken out of the match for a while. So, man, if his persona is trying to be a daredevil like Jeff Hardy was back in the day, or I don't know, this ain't worth it. Darby Allin, this ain't it. I think he needs to tone it down, and I think the AEW backstage guys need to tell Darby Allin tone it down a notch with his insane spots. But good match. My letter grade for this my letter grade for AEW Revolution is a overall letter grade of an A. I thought AEW knocked it out of the park with this AEW Revolution pay-per-view to kick off the pay-per-view runs that AEW is going to have in the calendar year 2024. The only complaint I have about this pay-per-view was I thought the pay-per-view was pretty long. And I think nowadays for wrestling, that no pay-per-view needs to be 4 hours or more. The outstanding matches I'm going to remember on this AEW Revolution card is the Eddie Kingston versus Bryan Danielson match, Blackpool Combat Club versus FTR, that incredible tag team match, Will Ospreay versus Tanosuke Takeshita, that incredible singles match, and we're all going to remember Sting's final match. So AEW did a really good job having memorable matches on this AEW Revolution card. At this pay-per-view, this is the pay-per-view that AEW needed for this kickoff 2024. If they could produce this with great events, in my eyes, they're heading on to they have full momentum for 2024. Continue to give us things like this, a product like this, memorable matches like this. Hopefully AEW can continue this for 2024, because if they can get back to those glory days of the late 2019s, early 2022 days of All Elite Wrestling. But that is my that is my AEW Revolution pay-per-view summary. That is all the time I have for you guys today. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. This is your host, Thomas Tyree, signing off, and I'll see you guys on next week's episode.